based on the criminal history, Judge, that are listed in the PSI, and I know you see all this, I don't need to rehash everything. My concerns are there are crimes of violence in the PSI, 3 felonies, 1 probation revoked, but you do see on page 5 there are many probation violations or remands on a probation honorable discharge form. But I am concerned based on the nature of the criminal history, home invasions, battery, domestic violence, assault with a deadly weapon in this case that led to an attempt, battery, substantial. I think felony is appropriate, and I think a prison term would be appropriate.
Is there any restitution or victim impact?
No, Judge, not that we have today. So, but I do think prison is appropriate. I asked the court to impose 19 to 48 on this case based on the criminal history and the facts of this case.
Judge, could you hear that okay?
Uh-huh.
When the deputy district attorney asked for 19 to 48, just describe what that means in our world.
The attempt battery or substantial bodily harm that he was charged with could be treated either as a felony, where you could get 1 to 4 years in prison, or it could be treated as a gross misdemeanor. You get up to 364 days in the Clark County Detention Center. He was asking that it be treated as a felony, the 1 to 4, and he was asking for the maximum sentence under that felony, 19 to 48. It's 19 months to 48 months. Here in Nevada, you get a max and a minimum sentence, so you get the 48 months or the 4 years. The minimum is supposed to be a truth in sentencing to let you know how much you have to serve before you are eligible for parole. And that would be the 19 to 48. The minimum can't exceed 40% of the maximum, so truly the maximum minimum and the maximum in this case was 19 to 48 months. Mr. Redden, is there anything you want to say on your own behalf before I pronounce sentence?
So basically, I would like to tell the courts and everyone here, like, based on my criminal history, like, I feel that, like, I shouldn't be, like, sent to prison for a second time.
Have you looked at your criminal history?
Huh?
Have you looked at your criminal history?
I actually just, I looked at it and gave
When you lived it, I suppose.
I just looked at it, yeah. And, you know,
3 felonies, gross, 9 misdemeanors, multiple DVs. Got a lot going on, sir.
Yeah, I just figured, like,
Battery on a protected person, robberies, attempt home invasion. Go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I just figure, like, I'm in a better place in my mind, my mental health. I have a support system. I just got hired as a teamster for, you know, the union, you know, making $20 an hour. And like the reason behind every single domestic violence, I've been dealing with mental health, and I didn't know that I was dealing with mental health. And they put me in mental health court, and I still didn't know that I had a mental health problem until it was August 2022 when I realized I have a problem with this. And like having a dictionary and like understanding myself, getting to know myself a little better, and applying it to my personality, and having an epiphany at that moment in those instances, and just like trying to learn from my mistakes, you know. And I feel like I shouldn't be sent to prison, but if it's appropriate for you, then you have to do what you have to do. But I figure that, you know, if I'm in a better place in my life, I'm not doing drugs, I'm not out there committing crimes now, you know, and I feel like I should be given a shot because I'm in a better place than I was then, you know. So, but that's, I'm a person who never stops trying to do the right thing, no matter how hard it is. And I just, you know, and I'm trying, and I never give up trying to do the right thing. I know I'm not a rebellious person. I don't want to be standing there. I want you to have to, you know, sit up here and waste your time as well, you know. But the criteria of me saying this is that I'm a person that never stops trying to do the right things, even if it's hard, and I did the best I could. I have mental problems, I guess.
Thank you. Joe Massey?
Judge, as contained in the pre-sentence investigation report, my client was diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. And speaking with him, it certainly seems that he's following the pattern that this court has seen so many times, so self-medication.
We've had 2 goes at mental health court, Mr. Massey.
He did, and he does have to honor the discharge from probation. So he can do probation, he can be successful when supervised. It is true that he did get dishonorable discharge. He was revoked on a gross misdemeanor that he was being supervised for just very recently. But he is in a different position now. His foster mother, who is present as a show of support, her name is Karen Springer, has provided him a place to live, which is listed on the PSI. His current address is 8 Rose Circle, Apartment A in North Las Vegas. And she very graciously has allowed him to stay there rent-free until he gets on his feet. Now, he is now part of Union 631 with the Teamsters and is hoping to work his way through that program so that he can maintain work. He's also reached out to...
Up until this point, Your Honor, you have suggested a couple times that you're not buying the argument for probation. Is that fair?
Fair.
Did you just now observe Mr. Redden move his body position a bit?
Yes.
Did you notice that back then?
No.
Shannon West for any job prospects that are available.
You seeing that now?
I am.
Is it common for a judge and her marshal to have a bit of an unspoken language that goes on when you're sentencing people?
Yes.
You work closely with your marshal?
Very.
And those cues that you've given in court, do they have a bit of a purpose?
They do.
What is that?
So he can get ready for a remand.
And a remand means putting cuffs on someone.
Taking somebody out of custody and putting him in custody.
I'm going to resume the video.
Through them. Finally, Judge, it's not just his mental health that he's been contending with, but he also has a history of IEP in his education. And at 30 years old, he does not have a high school degree. And so we spoke about that as well, and I think it's high time that he did that. I think the court can trust that he is going to perform well on probation. I think he's worth this risk. If the court wants the 19 to 48 as suggested by the VA, I would have no issue with that, but to suspend it rather than just send him to prison for any length of time. I think it makes more sense given the circumstances and his ability to do probation successfully that he